Hey, welcome to the Runaways podcast. My name is Cody. We are back from another week, and we have a ton of Silverage stuff to talk about. London just happened, where not only did we finally get all of the cards from the set, but we actually got our first look at competitive Silverage, which I think was pretty cool. We have Noah, who actually went to London, got to experience all these things. We've been talking throughout the week, but I wanted to start off by saying, how was the trip to London? How was the tournament? What was your experience like? What are your takeaways?
Okay, first thing, I have to chirp both of you because I think I had to answer about 50 questions of why is Lucas not here? Why is Cody not here? Why are you the only one here? So people wanted to see you and they were disappointed that you weren't there. So starting off with that. But yeah, my trip in London was good. It's at the venue was the XL Center, so I stayed at the adjoining A Loft. It was very convenient to
Yep.
getting to the tournament. It was classic London weather, rainy and like around 30 Fahrenheit every day. Um, Playing in the tournament was definitely an up and down experience. So it started on Friday with the world premiere, and I was immediately shocked at how many people there were. There was like 1,000 people in the hall between people actually, entering in the tournament, the vendors, spectators, whatever. So yeah, it was a huge tournament. Felt like a flashback to playing Yu-Gi-Oh again with like the size of um, the size of the tournament, and it seemed like everybody was super excited to play. There were people who had never really played Flesh and Blood before, ranging to like all the competitive grinders. That was kind of cool to see in a room, like the amount of people who are like, all right, I got this deck, let me read what like a card does, let me like understand the rules. And then other people playing in that like pre-constructed format, I think was uh, definitely interesting to say the least. In regards to the power levels of the decks for the world premiere, there were some that were kind of unplayable, and then there's like Phi, which Florin took to I think 22nd in the main event. So yeah, those decks ended up ranging quite greatly in power level, but some of them are like very strong. I ended up playing Viserai for all 4 rounds of mine, and yeah, it was nice to get back to playing a hero that I forgot how much I enjoyed, like the basic Viserai playstyle. So that was fun, and getting to play the very powerful D Reacts and Sigil of Suffering and Reduced to Rune Chant was also quite felt quite unfair. So then fast forward the next day to playing the actual calling itself. After answering around 6,000 people, why would I play KO, et cetera, reasons. Basically, every tournament I enter, I have to justify my existence of playing KO and why he's good. But I also managed to convince Raj, the only other runaway who was there, to play KO. We ended up submitting the same 55. That's like the limit in this format. Yes, same 55 for the main event. And my day started off great. Ironically, I played against 2 KOs in the first 2 rounds. I was like, oh, okay, maybe a bunch of other people are onto this too. It turns out there was only 31 in the room, so just a bit of an anomaly that I happened to face 2 mirror matches. A funny anecdote about the first round. Just brace yourself, by the way, people. This is going to be a pretty long ramble session.
Yeah,
Funny
I was
anecdote
going
about
to
the
understand.
first round is I'm playing the mirror match, and it's against an opponent who, like, yeah, they've never played KO before. I think they're relatively new to Flesh and Blood in general. Sorry if you've been playing a long time and I'm flaming you, but etc. The game starts. He wins the roll. He does like the classic KO 6 and a 3 and a 6, and when you're playing Silverage, that's a significant portion of your life total. And I was playing Pummel because the new KO chest is an instant. I guess you could play it in any brute, but in specifically KO, I think it's pretty valuable that you have the instant speed ability to get a resource. So it allows just efficient plays with 2 costs and Pummel. And I had a Wild Ride set and a Pummel in my hand, and I was like, you know what? If it's my day, it's my day. I don't think I'm ever winning this game if I'm blocking with the Pummel, so I just have to take the 25%, cast the Wild Ride, draw Stone Face as much as I can. He doesn't discard the Pummel, so I'm able to Pummel and then play another 2 cost after that, and that got me the game. So that was a pretty exciting way to start the tournament. Then yeah, I played another KO. This one was just really close, back and forth. Pray that he doesn't have pulping. He doesn't, so I win. Um, then I played against a Flattering Showman, another match where he had, I think, 5 armor on the table, but he just was not expecting me to cash in my chest and play a Pummel from Arsenal, and he died. He was at exactly 4 and just boom, died with 5 armor. It was a bit of a shocking moment. He was kind of like stun locked. Unfortunately, I have an outside of the tournament story that happened before this round. So I'm sitting down at my match, and people have been having issues with the tablecloths all day. They kept like sliding to one side, sliding to the other. And so I put my stuff down. I usually put like my phone next to my playmat as I'm like, unpacking all my stuff. And I see the people at the table next to me are um, like adjusting the tablecloth, and I'm not really thinking much of it. Then I look to my left, and I'm like, huh, my phone is bright orange. One sec. It's extremely noticeable, and it is not on the table anymore. It has instead been placed face down on the ground with extreme velocity. And so the person to my left is like, "Oh, sorry, sorry, sorry." They're like apologizing. I won't name names who it is, but yeah, they picked up my phone off the ground, put it on the table. The screen is completely shattered,
No.
and they're like, "Was it like this before?" And I'm like, "No, it was not like this before." So yeah, that was it. That was like hanging over my head. That happened before this match, and then I was just like, "All right, I gotta like stay composed, deal with it after." So luckily, there was an Apple store uh, around like 25 minutes by train, so I was able to get it fixed that afternoon. But yeah, played the whole rest of the day with a smashed phone. Was quite interesting. I've never broken a phone screen before in my life, so this was something new.
Well, you still
Uh,
haven't actually.
yeah, technically, I still haven't. Yes, I've kept my streak. Thank you. Next round, I played on stream, but it was the backup feature match, so it didn't end up getting aired, and it was not much of a game. I played against Lexi. My first turn attacking, going second. I popped my shoes doing Bare Fang's Claw Rough Up, which is like 18 damage and a might against Lexi, a class with like 2 armor. So yeah, that was not much of a game. So things are going great. I'm 4-0. I just won this match. I thought it was on stream. I'm like, dude, I'm the king. KO's the best. The luck is going my way. I'm doing like, the good, attack, claw, attack, play pattern. My armor's been like shutting down people's terms. And then I think I'm at table 2 or table 3 or something in this next round. And I play against Oldham. And I'm like, okay, I've played a lot of games of KO into fatigue. I know a lot of the Oldhams are playing extremely light ice, like only 2 ice cards. And that's typically the thing that I'm worried about. And then basically everything that can go wrong goes wrong this game. I make agility turn 0, and he plays red disable. So that's immediately all my armor gone there to block 6 on this and be able to have like a real turn, because I can't waste any of my agility turns into Oldham if I want to overcome the defenses. And then on turns 4 and 5, the next 2 turns I make agility, he has the back-to-back ice cards. So he just like shuts me down. He was playing red boulder drops as well. It was just like a unfortunate circumstance where I had to block way too much and eventually just get fatigued out. This person ended up top 8ing. This was the Oldham player who made top 8. I think the only Oldham in top 8. So clearly he played the rest of the tournament well, and I was like, all right, it's fine. Like, you lose one. This one felt like just kind of some bad variance. I had to block with one of my pommels as well. Okay, so after that Oldham, I faced a third mirror match. And I was like, okay, this is extremely unlikely. And I think the mirror match is probably one of the worst matchups for my deck because I'm so reliant on using the clash cards. I was even playing Test of Agility, Test of Might, just kind of like preying on the fact that Guardians were running so many non-powered attacks and I can win the clashes into all the aggro decks, kind of competing with Briar's 4 attacks by having 4 blocks, right? And so, yeah, I play this mirror match. And ironically, this is the only die roll of the mirror matches that I won. And I was thinking going in that like the die roll should matter so much. And by my tone of voice, you can tell that I lost this match. I kind of threw. I had a feeling for some reason all day. I knew when the pummel was on top of my deck. And so in this one, he started turn 0 with red pulping. And I knew I should have blocked with my chest because it's Guardwell just to get the block value out of it. And block with 1 card from my hand and just pray that there's a pulping on the top. Or not a pulping, sorry, play that there's a pummel on the top, because then it lets me convert 3 of my cards and I can Arsenal run roughshod. Compared to if I draw pummel off the top now, I have to use all 4 cards or waste my chest value. And I actually do with my 1 draw because he had dominate on pulping. I do draw the pummel. And so I convert my 4 cards just fine with pummel, but he ends up casting Bare Fangs into an attack into Bare Fangs still on a 4-card hand. And that just puts me like really far behind. I didn't cast any Bare Fangs, and yeah, I think if I would have done the Arsenal run roughshod play, it definitely would have got me there. So that one was like 100% my fault that I lost this game. So I'm X2, but it's like 1 million rounds. It's 9 rounds day 1, 5 rounds day 2. So all X2s are guaranteed. and X3 if you lose the last round of the tournament should most likely be fine as well. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll keep playing. It's a bit sad to lose that way, but keep going. Then I faced a Briar, and this is where I started getting extremely blackpilled on Sage after this game. So into this Briar, he wins roll, and going second plays Burn Up Shock. I play no AB because it's like, aggro mirror. Some 0 for 3 pump into Static Shock. So he's throwing the Static Shock. It's got the 1 on hit plus the on hit of Burn Up Shock as well. I block 7. He plays Press, obviously. So now I've taken the 3 from the Press, the 1 from the Static Shock, the 4 from the Burn Up Shock, plus the additional ping from Burn Up. So like a majority of my armor's gone, and I'm at half HP. I play my next turn. I puts him to 6 through his armor, and then he attacks me. I have to go to 2 to be able to play the game, and then he plays double Sigil of Suffering, and I die. So that match was a bit tough. And then I played into another Briar. This has been going on for a while, so I won't continue too much. But I played into another Briar, and similar situation happens where I take a bunch early because of press, burn up, etc., like reaction style damage. And then we get to a super grindy endgame, and he just ends up killing me with, this time it's a Sigil of Suffering plus a Shock when I'm at 2, and he's at 1 with, lethal on the stack. So that was a bit tough. I spent the rest of the day complaining because these events go so fast. So that in the total time of the day, this is around like 3 p.m. and there's only one more round left. So I have lots of time left to complain. I relish in doing that. And then I decide, okay, whatever. I guess I'll sign up for the thing tomorrow. Raj inspires me because he went 6-2, lost the last round 6-3, but the top 96 made day 2, so he like still technically made day 2. And he was much more motivating about the prospects of the deck moving forward, and how good it is, et cetera, et cetera. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll sign up. I'll play the thing tomorrow. I play the showdown, and it's like probably one of the biggest showdowns ever. A similar 9-round affair.
Probably one of the biggest showdowns ever. I would think it's definitely up there.
When I say showdown, you know what I mean, man. Sorry. Showdown, battle hardened, like one of the biggest second part of a tournament things. Yeah. I guess we'll say Sunday event, I guess. First round I pair into a Phi, and just we both are basically playing Blitz. We're both drawing insane, and I get there, and then I play another mirror match, and this one, okay, this will be the last story. So I kind of have to apologize to my opponent here. I think he's a podcast listener. He mentioned before the match that I'm his 3rd favorite podcast host. So now I'm sure I'm like his 4th or 5th after this. But
not below Fino.
Yeah.
No.
But I was just like extremely salty at the end of this because I was in a completely winning position. I keep a 5-card hand, intending on playing Bear Fangs into claw attack. I still have my chest and my shoes, so I'm going to pop the beaten trackers. But I just had a really sinking feeling that my top card was Pummel. Like, I knew it deep down. I play the Bear Fangs. I draw the Pummel. I've been trying to be good like you, Cody, and not look at the card, but this time I looked at it. And I had not enforced that there should be rolling of dice to pick the cards. The first 2 times it happened, he just like picked a card and it ended up being fine. I was like, whatever. And then this time he thought for like a minute. His spidey senses tingled, and he just snipes the Pummel out of my hand, and then I lose. And I was extremely demoralized after this happened, because at these tournaments on Sunday, like any loss is basically okay. This is you only get one mulligan for the day. You can't lose more than once. And having to lose like this in like a completely unlosable game was pretty sad. And I was definitely expressing my displeasure. I guess we'll say that much. So sorry opponent for that one. You did not deserve it. And that person ended up top 8ing as well. So they got all the good karma from that match. And then the next round I played against Jacob Clements on Kano. I didn't trigger my hero power for the whole game, and then I died. And then he also top 8'd. So I managed to go 1-2 and face 2 people who top 8'd, which is a little bit sad. But there was my weekend. Ate some fabulous food. Surprisingly, in London, people always rag on the food, but You just have to know where to look. Went to
Well,
Borough Market as
London
well.
has great food. I think people just don't like British cuisine.
Yeah, exactly. I tried to avoid anything British when I was there. So yeah, that was my trip.
Well, I I don't know what this
Glad you had
says. There's a couple. I have a couple of things. One, the London turnout is always phenomenal. We've
Mhm.
had 2 events there, including the Pro Tour, that both of them were massive. Like the Pro Tour was big, the calling was massive. Now this calling has been pretty huge. So London does seem like a good location, I guess, for a lot of people to get to since they've had good turnout every single time. Also, that was also the most tilting worst experience I've ever had in a tournament was in London, and I find it very funny that you are not normally a like tilt off at people type of player,
Yeah,
and it also happened at London for you. So I find
yeah.
but something in the air there, I guess that
It was more tilted at myself for like not doing the roll of dice and
yeah.
letting him pick the card just because it worked out good on the first one. I was like, oh yeah, it'll surely work out good on the second one. I shouldn't stick to the rules.
Yeah,
Yeah. So more angry at myself, but not making that clear in the moment.
that's pretty funny. Other than that, I will say the Silver Age turnout seemed good. I don't know how much of that was Silver Age and how much was London. So I'm curious to see what happens this next San Diego event
Mhm.
that's coming up as well. Other than that, did you have fun playing Silver Age? Now that you've
There
reflected
was
on it, are you
some
excited to
games.
play it again?
Oh, absolutely not. I'm still I'm still completely doomed on the prospects of playing this at any competitive tournament going forward. There were certainly moments that were fun, and when I got to enact my strategy, it was fun. But it was very. That's why I mentioned earlier about this being reminiscent of Yu-Gi-Oh. It was very fun in a Yu-Gi-Oh esque, where like I really didn't want to ever care what my opponent was doing. I just wanted my deck to execute its game plan and not really engage in like gameplay. Like if I'm playing the fatigue deck, I'm just like, okay, all I'm doing is accepting that some matchups I have a 10% win rate, some matchups I have a 90% win rate. And then when I play the matchups that are a little bit close, I'm like just hoping that uh, a couple turns go my way and then I'll get there. But it feels not really like gameplay. I don't know if that makes sense. When I'm playing aggro mirrors like Briar versus KO, I played a lot of that over the weekend. The matchup just feels like who's drawing their cards that are worth like the 2 card 9 type cards, right? Who's drawing more 0 for 4s, more 0 for 5s, and just literally math simulator because the games are so short. And then I'm also pretty soured on the whole uh, Sigil of Suffering, Shock, those kind of cards. I didn't face many people playing the new blue Sigil, but that could be a similar instance where it's just not feasible to have Arcane Barrier or to have lots of D reacts to cover like Lightning Press on burn up Shock turns, as well as always having to keep like 4 armor up for a snatch or keep a card back for a snatch. There's just like a lot of these feels bad, powerful cards in aggro mirrors that it doesn't seem like you have a lot of control over um, resolving more of them than your opponent because the card pool being so limited means everyone just kind of it's obvious what the power cards are. You put them in your deck. You put a little bit of a supporting cast in there, and then that's your deck. So I think from a perspective of a competitive player, the deck building is not deep at all compared to CC because there's only so few powerful cards, um, and the actual playing of the games just feels like extracting more math than really setting up for like interesting plays. I don't know if this is making any sense. I feel like y'all got to talk. I'm talking too much this episode.
Well, that does lead to the main topic. We will get to that in a second. I did want to say, Lucas,
Mhm.
what has your week in Flesh and Blood been? I know that as a team, we have slowly started probably prepping for Pro Tour at this time. At least we've started looking at it now that we finally have all the cards. But how's your week been?
It's been good. Yeah, you kind of alluded to it a little bit, but mostly what I've been focusing on is just prepping the like thinking about the Pro Tour cycle and how we're going to do that as a team. I did watch London. I think I've actually watched every round, which I basically never do. But I felt like it's a new format. I should do that. and so I put myself through that.
Nice.
No, I know. All jokes aside, though, we were talking about this a little bit before we started recording, but Sage is actually a whole lot of fun to watch. I will admit I'm more probably closer to Noah than I am to an optimist on playing the format competitively. But from a spectator and viewership point of view, it's very intriguing. The shorter games make for a much more interesting experience, and the swings are bigger, right? Like the power plays and like the randomness of the game is like exacerbated due to the smaller life totals. Like the Leviah game on stream, I don't know if you guys watched, but like the play where he plays the Deadwood Rumbler with the lethal in Banner Zone, and then if he draws a 6, he's able to win. If he draws a not 6, he's going to die. Stuff like that is fun to watch, but yeah, watching the games did not make me feel particularly more intrigued by the format. But I mean, I'm still excited to play it. I'm excited to brew a little bit. I think that there is more depth than a lot of people realize. Although, as the format evolves, we'll see whether or not that actually gets put into practice and whether the games are actually interesting. But I do think there is potential for the format to be intriguing.
My biggest beef is that the top defensive decks don't actually contain cards in them.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, look at Pierre's deck, or look at the Oldham decks. They have like 12 real cards in them. The rest is just literally filler.
Yeah.
But because the format contains aggro decks that all they can do is attack, try to hopefully push through on hit effects. It's an effective strategy to play these giga defensive decks. They don't actually do anything because there's Kano, right, which is kind of the exception, but outside of Kano, there's not really like setup potential to punish these decks because the life totals are so small that, okay, whatever, I have 3 block cards in my hand, I'll pitch them all to throw like a red disable or something, and that's half your life total. So if you're trying to set up, it becomes difficult because the Guardian decks just or like a felling swing, right? They just swing the Great Axe for 10. That's half your life total. You just have a lot less room to really set up big turns against these defensive decks.
Yeah, and there's basically no like combos or anything, right? Like the things that most decks have to set up are, like you were sort of alluding to, like 4 to 5 card hands that are able to push through on hits most of the time. Or you're playing like a deck that can't do that, and you have to have some like super weird niche combo that you're trying to set up that is also incredibly difficult to do with 20 or less life in some cases.
Yeah, I think we talked about it a little bit last week about the we call it just Guardian slop decks, but now that's also the Warrior slop decks as well. And the top end is just like Briar defensive slop decks, and then maybe a couple of things that are trying to take advantage of that. Like we did see Reinar come out in force, then had some decent results with that, trying to hit like the more defensive decks.
Yeah, the problem I think is that
go ahead.
I think the problem is sort of that it, at least initially, it feels like potentially a format problem more so than a meta problem, where just like, when I say format, I mean Sage as a whole, just because like Noah was saying, like these it's not like you can ban cards out of these defensive decks and like make them worse. Like there's no cards in them. Like unless you just like actually ban like every generic defense reaction, which maybe, I guess.
Hey, Warrior's finally good in a format, guys. It's one of the top decks.
Yeah, and it's
by Warrior you mean Guardian.
Yeah.
Guardian was a better hammer.
Yeah. Well, it's like Warrior's finally good, and of course it's what we all knew, which is if Warrior's good, it's boring, because it's literally just the most mind-numbing, like...
Okay, before we get too into this topic, I want to set forth a thesis statement, and then we will talk about this thesis statement. I think, or the statement is, that Silverage is the best thing to ever happen to the game, except for playing it competitively. I think in all aspects, Silverage is a marketed improvement over the game. If you look at pricing of playing the game, I think the pricing is phenomenal. Getting into the game is far easier. Getting into the game and then it's still feeling like Flesh and Blood, I think has been done decently well, where it still feels like it has some of the parts that you associate with it being Flesh and Blood and better than other games. I think the viewing experience is great. I didn't expect the viewing experience to be as good, but I literally just watched the stream. Like I just put the stream up and I was just watching the games. Like, hey, this is pretty entertaining. Like it's a lot, like your attention span isn't being asked for so long, which whether you say it's good or not, that is something that has to be relevant. But like, while I might enjoy watching the new matchup go 50 minutes into third cycle, that is a big ask for, I think, a lot of people to want to watch something like that. And even when in this case we were watching like Oldhim versus the Dory, it was super entertaining because like you only really had to get through like 10 minutes of like nothing turns. And then all of a sudden it's down to the wire and it's really close and it's coming back and it's like actually kind of exciting to see what happens. And they were going fast enough that it was good. And I was like, they literally went to last card of their deck and it was like engaging the whole time. Which I think is a massive improvement for other things. I mean, especially if you want to talk about watching like draft games or something, no one wants to watch draft games. So as far as like the viewer experience, engagement, like it's just enjoyable to watch the game. I think people are excited about it, which is a positive. And I think from an other play mechanic, if you're sitting down and you look at all of the heroes available and all of the stuff that you can do within Silverage from like a more casual stance, it's actually pretty exciting to like brew some decks up and do some things like that. And I have your decks they all do vastly different things from each other. It's not just like aggro deck number 2, aggro deck number 3. Those exist, but you can go in so many different directions of how the deck actually functions.
And I also think crucially for on that axis, because the life totals are so much smaller because it's 20 health, the variance is higher, and that also means decks that are worse have more ability to win.
Yep.
Like you can just do better in this format with, B or C tier decks than you can in Classic Constructed because the games are shorter. You're not getting bulldozed by Majestics, right? Which like a lot of the Majestics are the reasons why some of these CC decks have so much consistency. And so all of these Sage decks are, I think it's a lot easier to play more casually, but still in the vein of like, I'm trying to win the game and I'm trying to, make my deck good. So I agree. I think for especially like PQ, RTN sort of level tournaments, I think Sage will be.
I think really from a new player perspective as well, if you are a new player into CC, you will probably not win a game for several months if you're playing against anyone who's remotely played the game before. And it almost doesn't matter what deck you pick up. Yeah. That's not the same for Silverage.
Any of our viewers can go 4-4 just like Noah did with the KO deck.
But my point is, like, I think if you're brand new to the game, you pick up that Phi deck. The other decks kind of suck, but the Phi deck looks good as like a deck that's built. But if you pick up the Phi deck, you're like brand new. I think you could pick up a game really quickly. And for a lot of people who are entering card games, they need to win something to get them to keep wanting to play. It takes a very special type of person to lose games for a month straight. And it'd be like, I love this. Like, we are all those type of people. And most of the people who play Flesh and Blood right now are those type of people. But if you want to branch out to everyone else, then you need to be able to win games at some point, right? And I think the Phi deck does that. And we can go through individual points that you want to bring up. But I think like on almost every access of the game, Silverage is a marked improvement. Except for it is basically unplayable at a competitive level. As far as what Flesh and Blood currently is.
I will say my current impression is pretty close. But it is also still like Compendium has not officially released yet. And I do think that there is probably some more depth to the format. And I also think that I don't actually know the answers to how to get this done, but I do think there are a few things where if you could meaningfully adjust the format in certain ways, like if the fatigue slop just like wasn't good or like wasn't as good, or if it was like one hero, I think maybe.
Well, it's not even the fatigue slap that I think is the problem.
No, that's not the only problem.
I think
I'm
like
saying
Briar is
it's
a
one of the
problem.
knobs that I would turn.
It's just like some hand draws between Rhinar or Briar where you just lose the game on turn 2 and there's literally nothing you can do about it. Like, come on, that's not enjoyable to play. Like, now that's how other card games work, and the reason why
other card games that do that, they're best of 3 usually.
Yeah, they're usually best of 3.
One card game that does that.
And so, like, I will say, so I play plenty of other card games that function that way. But as far as Flesh and Blood goes, Flesh and Blood doesn't normally function that way. And normally, there's a few times that it has, is normally when people have complained about it. We're playing this game to play more of the game versus just like get high rolled. And so from like the high, like top end competitive level, Silverage kind of sucks right now, in my opinion. Maybe that's changes. And if it does, then it's just like a home run across the board. But I think in every other aspect you look at Silverage through, it is just the best thing the game has ever released. Almost unfortunately, in my mind. Because like I love CC. I want to play CC. But like I can't lie. It was way more fun watching Silverage than it was watching like a CC tournament.
Yeah. Also, interestingly, the sort of like slop style of both the aggro and defensive decks does also mean that like in terms of literal hero representation, I would expect that most Sage tournaments are going to be much more diverse than CC tournaments, which is, again, for competitive players, is not always something that we strive for. It's something we've talked about a lot on the pod, how we don't always like that. But the masses generally do prefer more diverse formats and more hero choices. And so we'll probably see that even in competitive Sage as well. That's another potential benefit.
But everything I can look at so far is that this looks like a massive net positive for the game. Mm-hmm. Irregardless of what my personal feelings of them are. I love irregardless. I will always use irregardless.
I know you. Irregardless of what we tell him.
Especially when you told me you hate it, and then I made sure to really burn it in. I don't
hate it that much. Austin just tells me he hates it so much that like it's burned into my brain now.
I'm curious, Noah, on your thoughts of the statement that I just put out.
Oh, I agree with everything you say. I'm like not interested in playing this at a calling plus level, but I think at like PQ, RTN, and below, it'll be a lot of fun. Also, something that's a bit worrisome is that the whole like benching system means that Chain will be legal for Pro Tour because he'll become unbenched after this next voting, like as a mandatory thing. So I'm very curious how.
Is that true? I thought there wasn't a voting thing till after PT.
I'm pretty sure there's one before PT.
I know there's like a round of there's like a update. I thought that was just a ban list.
I'm pretty sure there's a new round of like voting, benching, whatever they're calling it, before the PT.
Brian Gottlieb did make a tweet, I believe, clarifying this, where if a hero, I don't want to misquote. I believe if a hero is benched, then they return the following season, right? That's how that works.
Yeah, like they're forced to return for one season. Then if they get benched again, they get sat out for 2. But anyways, the point of me bringing this up is just that they're definitely going to have to use the ban list to curb some stuff if they want to make this continue to be at competitive events. And I think, like Cody said, the game is better off for Silverage existing. Like Flesh and Blood, the IP as a whole benefits from Silverage existing. And I don't think that changes if you just get rid of like 5 to 6 problematic cards.
Yeah.
So I would.
There is another level to the benching thing, just before we forget it. So the sitting out multiple seasons in a row occurs the second time a hero's bench. This is also something we haven't mentioned, but it's not that it'll like return for one season every time it gets benched. Whenever it gets benched, it basically gets benched for an extra season. So like if it's the second time that a hero's gotten benched, they get benched for 2 seasons. If it's the third time, they get benched for 3 seasons. etc. So it does seem like Chain will be legal for Yokohama, but then he'll have like extended timeout periods for the longer.
I believe, and I don't want to misquote, it said that Chain will come back, but there will be bans to handle him.
Yeah. I would expect a lot of Chain bans, or at least some.
Yeah, we'll see. They've almost never been able to ban him into a position where he wasn't good.
Yeah, well, that's his cards have never been the problem. So
true.
Good luck.
So yeah, we'll see what happens there.
Hey, maybe you get to play Chain at a tier 4.
I could have before, but I chose to play Zen, and I
know, but
love
you
that
have
decision.
another chance.
Yeah,
you have another chance.
I have another chance. We'll see.
It was also lit to play some Flesh and Blood with no Kano for the past couple months, and then now Kano's legal again in a competitive format, and that sucks.
Yeah,
Kano and Rhinar both being like extremely viable decks is not fun for competitive settings, I guess, at least as well in 20 HP formats.
I think that's what, I don't know. That's what the people want, I guess.
Yeah. I'm trying to. Oh, wait. Compendium of Wraith says benched until set 19, which is May 29. So, wait, is Pro Tour before that?
Yes.
Surely it is.
Yes.
It's in April. Okay. So, we're not getting in.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think there is bans, but not a benching. There's no vote. I believe Chain is banned still. That was my impression going into this. Was that there was going to be bans after PQ season, but we wouldn't change the heroes that are legal until after Pro Tour.
I see.
If somebody would like to clarify for us in the comments, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, please. I'm lost.
Yeah. From everyone I've talked to, they're pretty excited about Silverage. It is weird to be in a position where I can 100% acknowledge that this is the correct thing for the company to be doing, even if I personally am not currently super happy with having to play it at like a Pro Tour event. But I've played a decent amount of it, and
I played Hunted Draft at a Pro Tour. I'm pretty agreeable.
I mean, Hunted Draft was horrendous, and I would never want to do that again either. So,
I mean, clearly we'll just do whatever. Like,
yeah.
As long as we get our 9 rounds of CC, we'll take our 6 rounds of slop, no matter what form they take.
There's always a slop format.
Yeah, whatever, man.
We had LL slop format. Now we're gonna have Silverage slop format. We've had some draft slop formats.
LL was like the opposite of slop. LL was like everything was like super fine dining. Like everything was the finest meals. You were just getting them thrown at your face before you sat down.
True. I did. So watching Silverage made me want to watch more Silverage. So I think that is a positive about the stream. Also, playing Silverage events and them just being over like in like 4 hours is like kind of nice.
Yeah, we're getting like double spoiled because like coming from other games, FAB tournaments always finish super early.
Yep.
Like, you know, we don't even see the sunset before we get to walk outside. Like, that's a unique experience for trading card game players. And Sage is like making us even more spoiled. Like, now we're going to be getting out at like 3 p.m. Like, oh, get out of town. Come on now.
There's not as much time to wait between rounds if you're playing a fast deck. There's a bunch of things all around the game that I think Sage does very well at making it enjoyable.
I do think you get some of that. I think Yuanji calls it like the hero complex of my opponent made a mistake. I didn't make a mistake, therefore they deserve to lose. I think that definitely is true in Sage, where when the games are close, the person who makes a mistake loses a significant majority of them, which doesn't necessarily always happen in CC because there's a bit of a buffer to recover. So that's at least a positive from a competitive side.
There's also less turns for you to make a mistake in.
I was going to say, that's actually one thing I wanted to talk about is I think the reason that I have so much hope for Sage is that I think if we get to a point where the meta is primarily decks that take thought and aren't just like no blocks or all blocks, I actually think it could be like a very skill intensive format for the reason that you just mentioned, where like if you miss like 2 or 3 points of value here or there in like an incredibly close game of Sage, it's going to lose you the game most of the time. Whereas, yeah, like you said, that might not always be the case in CC. You have more time to like resolve powerful majestics, and like your decks have more opportunity to play into each other. Um, so like there's maybe more turns that are just like autoplay, but when you make the wrong choice, it punishes you. So maybe there's hope.
I do think another aspect of Sage that's interesting to me is the whole first second thing, where I think in CC a lot of times going first versus second, outside of matchups where a deck is like built to go first or built to go second, I guess maybe it's 10-15% edge in CC if I had to guess. But it feels like in Sage um, you have a much more significant edge of going first versus second if one of those turns goes well. Um, you're set up for like a majority of the game. And my point behind this is that your sideboarding and your equipment choices should definitely change based on whether you're going first or second. For example, some people were playing Scepter of Pain and Bloodied Oval in the Briar Mirror match because then when you go first, you could deal 1 damage, make 1 rune chant, and gain 1 life. So it's like a little bit of a buffer for when you go first to make up for something that's a little bit worse. I know when we were playing KO, we sided in additional agile windups going first. That way we could have a better chance of discarding agile windup and then setting a power card and just presenting 20 on the first turn that we're attacking with. Block the armor, have a 5-card hand. There could be other instances as well where you leverage armor based on a matchup. I know some people were playing the hat that face adversity, I think it's called, that says if the opponent's drawn a card, you get to block 2 with it. Another like sideboard piece by matchup. So I think there's, in addition to just having arcane barrier pieces, there's a lot of interesting changes you can make to your permanents and maybe some main deck cards as well based on first second.
Yeah. Also, another sideboarding thing is just like because the meta is wider and the sideboard cards are, I think, overall less impactful than they would be in CC. Like you don't have as many like Silver Bullet Majestics or anything like that. It makes the way that you build your deck quite different. I'm not sure how this will actually play out in Sage, but my guess is that it'll mean the like week to week meta game is quite important, and just like making sure that you're very on top with how you're using all 55 of your cards feels like it's going to be very important if we continue to see these very diverse metagames, even if they're like uh, not the most diverse just in the hero sense. It's like you were saying, like there might be, oh, I want this on the play or this on the draw. I want this versus this style of deck, but also, like maybe I want these for the Guardians, but against this specific Guardian, I want this card instead. So because that Guardian's down ticking, I like cut this card for something else. I think in CC, a lot of the times where we see like the same meta be sort of the same for a longer time and in a more concentrated manner where we only have like 3 or 4 decks at the top, we see a lot of these sideboard slots kind of just become the same across different heroes and end up being the same throughout the metas. So I'm hoping that Sage will have a little more of like a maybe like an online game feel where the decks change week to week drastically a lot more, but we'll see if that actually ends up happening.
I mean, outside, maybe some of these issues actually get resolved by playing it at a Pro Tour. We've had this experience before. When you're playing like at a calling, it feels weird to be like X3 at that like 14 rounds and it like not be good enough. Unless like one of the losses was in the last round, considering that there are an abundance of decks that can be played and are played that just kill you and there's nothing you can do about it. Like Azalea goes first and just like mollywops you on turn 1 and you're just like, well, this is one of my losses for the game. Like, you know what I mean? Like that there's too many of those type of matches to like, you must go X2.
One moment. You brought up a great point. Unflinching foothold. When Azalea goes first, you side this in for your shoes. If you have flexible shoes, boom. Don't take 12 damage turn 0 again. Okay, continue.
But like some of that stuff feels kind of bad to play in like a very open calling situation. But we have seen in the past where like we go to Pro Tours, and that's just like not how the game is played at that, at that level. So maybe we get a much better games. The unfortunate thing is like Briar is one of the decks that does that currently, and is the most played deck. But I think if we're able to get a format in a way where we can lower some of those just like weird die on turn 2 draws or decks, I think it becomes a lot more enjoyable, kind of like how LL does when you're both playing at the same power level. And then it comes down to like who is actually better at their macro strategy than their opponent. I think when the Silverage games feel that way, that's when they feel good to me.
Yeah, I also think Sage could be sort of like the opposite of LL in a sense, where LL was, like you were saying, both players' decks are really high powered. Both players are kind of throwing haymakers a lot of the time. And so whoever has a better macro strategy and a better understanding of how to exploit their opponent's deck ends up winning. I think Sage might be kind of the reverse, where the decks are lower power. A lot of the cards that people are playing are kind of the same. Like the cards that Fi and KO play are like, they're very similar, right? Go 3-3-3, or like, you go 4-4, or you go like, Bare Fangs for 8, right? Like they're just numbers for the most part in Sage. Obviously that all the decks are different, but you know what I'm saying? And so I think it might end up being that the things that are most important in Sage are those like micro, small numbers based decisions, rather than like macro gameplay. I think just there's not as much room to wiggle and to position yourself in these games. So yeah, thank you, Cody. But so you kind of end up in more situations where like it's just about min-maxing value, which is not always face up, but those sort of like small, do I block this attack or the next attack decisions are what the game becomes about, rather than, or more so than in CC, where you might have more of a macro strategy, or something like LL where macro strategy is almost like, the whole matchup for, in some cases, in a lot of cases.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where it goes from here. I'm excited to see more tournaments. I guess we will get to play it shortly, later this month in a semi-competitive environment. We have that other calling that we're going to be taking a look at. We've been practicing it, but I don't know.
Practicing is a kind word.
Yeah, practicing is a kind word. I will say, I think they've done a good job with Sage. I think they, like, as far as like how it impacts the game and how it's good for Flesh and Blood as a whole, as a market piece. I think they've done a good job. So
yeah,
to people who say we're always negative, I can admit when LSS has done a good job, even if I don't personally want to play the format. But I'll still do it. Like, it's not like I'm not going to play the format. Like, I'm still going to play the format.
Yeah.
But it's a good thing they put out. Like, I sat down and watched a calling, like every round.
Yeah.
You win. Like, you've done it. Like congrats. Like that. I don't watch every round of other callings, CC callings. I like skip almost every round unless it's something interesting or players that I care about. Because I don't want to see most players play the game for 50 minutes. That's just like, but when it's Sage and it's that short and they're different decks, I'll watch anyone play it for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just 5 rounds. It's like 5 turns. Like, I'll watch anyone play the game for 5 turns. But I won't watch them play it for 15 turns, but I'll watch them play it for 5 turns. So as far as like a viewer experience, phenomenal.
It's funny you mentioned this time frame too, because I feel like this is about my attention span if I'm at a tournament and like my match finished pretty quickly and I'm like walking around like watching other people's matches. I feel like they get around that 5-turn radius before I go to a different table. It's just I don't know who invented this barometer, but it's definitely true.
Yeah. I guess they did it. They win. You win this one. You've won this one, LSS. I don't think your decks are good enough to win a calling. I still think that was ridiculous. The Fi deck is at least playable. A lot of the other decks I don't think are very good. But
yeah. I think the nature of the statements that I think the nature of the product that they had created made it so where the statements that they made were like pretty clearly a bit too broad, right? Like you made, it's like what, like 10 of these, 12 of these decks. Like, yeah, most of them are probably not going to be very good. And also they're not tuned for a specific meta. So like they're never going to be perfectly relevant out of the box for the most part, unless it's just the no blocks aggro deck.
Yeah.
But the FAB deck's good. I think the decks are for the most part built reasonably well for the heroes that they are.
I mean,
some of them are not.
Some of them are silly.
Okay.
Can you imagine though, if like I see what I would have wanted them to, if they were going to go out and be like, you can win a calling or a pro tour with this deck. We pulled no punches. You know, the thing that they said. One, they just shouldn't have said that. Just say like, this is a very strong competitive deck. You can go win a PQ. You can do well at callings with this. We're expecting you to be able to compete with it. That's like good enough. But the other thing is pretty like bombastic. But if they had just put out like Bravo, like Guardian slop block, and then like and then like an axe story, I'd have been like, okay, you did put out like tournament winning decks. Congratulations.
I guess it's kind of hard in this format to make tournament winning decks that are like worth making products for, because like
can you imagine if it was like a Decimator Great Axe like build? They just like, they're like, no, when we said you can win a calling, here's the list. And I'd have been
it's just like every stupid D-react.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I would have respected it. Like then I would respect the comment like this could win a calling type of deal.
I think the FAB deck could technically win a calling.
It probably could.
I think
it is FAB.
Like you win enough die. It's also, I like, for a FAB deck, it's built well.
Yeah.
I think FAB is just not necessarily the best, which is part of the problem. But
he's good enough. His new card's very good.
Exactly. He's good enough. Yeah. He's good enough.
That's the deck I would tell people to buy if they were first time playing the game. Here.
Yeah.
Play this FAB deck.
And I bet they would win games and have fun.
I bet they would win games and have fun. And then they might eventually play CC.
And then they can upgrade to a good form.
Yeah. Oh man. I think we're on the losing side of this one though. This is like
as competitive players? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this isn't for us, and I think it's a good thing that they made the thing.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm willing to believe that. So the other thing is like, if the extent to which we have to play it is like some ProQuest seasons and then like a fourth of the Pro Tours or like a third of the Pro, like one Pro Tour a year, we have to play 6 rounds of this. It's like, okay, of those 6 rounds, like 2 or 3 of them are probably going to be miserable.
You know this is going to be at Worlds. You know this format's going to be at Worlds.
Don't say it. Don't say that.
You know we're going into like a triple format or something at Worlds.
It'll be a triple for sure.
It'll be a triple format.
What's the triple? Don't say it's draft or.
It'll be draft. No. It'll be like draft, Silverage, CC. No.
Worlds this year. 15 rounds of Classic Constructed. Best 2 out of 3. That's what the players want. That's what the people want.
I would be happy though if they did some like Conquest stuff at like a calling or something, like show up, you have 3 Silverage decks, your opponent bans 2 of them, you have to play the other one. Like,
I mean, we've seen these like 8 or 9 round ones finish in a reasonable amount of time. It feels like it's not that hard to have like 5 or 6 best 2 out of 3 rounds, right?
Even if it wasn't like 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3 at Worlds would be kind of cool though.
It's still Sage. I don't know. Like,
yeah, but it's still.
It depends. It depends on the games, right? If it's like 2 out of 3, but all the matchups are still 90-10s, like whatever. Yeah. But if it's a bunch of like 60-40s,
that's why I said. But more a Conquest mode of it's still best of 1, but you have to present 3 decks. They ban 2 of them. They pick the deck you play. Mm-hmm. Or even if they ban 1 of them.
Olympia, Dorinthia, and Kasai. And I played Kasai all tournament.
That's pretty funny. No, it has to be like 3 different classes or something weird. Even
Okay,
if it's
I
like
present Dorinthia, Oldhim, and Kano. Choose your game experience.
That's funny.
But do you roll the die first? Because I'd be curious.
We
Like
can
you
sort out
go
the
like
specifics. When
I
they never
register
do
like Azalea, Kano, Reinar. Like if I go first, you're dead.
But at least should allow some for interesting calling formats or something.
I mean, it's a pipe dream, dude. They're never going to do this. It would be cool, but they'll never do it.
Why not?
It's just too difficult logistically to force people to bring
3
decks for
Silverage
calling?
decks?
I don't think it'll happen, man.
A $60 ticket?
They
You
did.
have to explain all these new rules.
No. Do you really think it's like more to ask of people to bring 3 decks that cost like half an
It's not
artichoke?
about the cost.
than
It's
it
not
is
like
to ask
Half an
people to
artichoke.
bring like an LL deck and a CC deck.
Yeah, we already. That was much worse.
Is that actually more unreasonable? Is like one more like toenail clipping really gonna bother people that much?
It's 33% more decks, man. That's a lot
Dude,
more
it's
decks.
33% more like computer mouses. Like, come on.
Would you play with a third of a mouse on your desk? What is that? What is that supposed to mean?
No, like
The
like,
price,
the,
the
decks cost
cost.
the same as a mouse. Like it doesn't cost.
It's not about the cost, dude. It's just about like the tournament running thing.
It's fewer cards than 3 CC decks, right? It's 165 versus I guess it's like 5 more cards than 2 constructed decks.
Yeah. Got ya.
Okay. I hope I'm wrong and they do it, but I just don't see them ever changing the rules this drastically.
Oh, man, it's
They do change the rules all the time. But
we're gonna get like 6 months in, and they're gonna be like, people don't like playing this at tier 3s, and they're gonna put a dartboard on the wall, and one of the things is gonna be Conquest format, and if the dart lands on there, then we're lit.
okay.
Yeah.
Let's
You just
see.
gotta believe in the dart, man.
Believe in the heart of the darts. Yeah.
That's how it got the giant.
Speaking of changes to formats, they did announce these like local tournaments. Kind of seem to come out of nowhere. Do you guys know the name of them? I literally watched
Battlegrounds.
Battlegrounds.
Yeah,
Yes.
Battlegrounds.
I think so.
Unfortunately, I will be flying to Japan the weekend that they come out. But they seem pretty cool. You could win a gold foil at your local event. This, I guess, is what is supposed to replace your ability to play in ProQuests after you win one. That seems to be the case.
I think these are great.
Yeah.
I like having more avenues of, if someone, for example, had to take a PQ or RTN season off, you can just like, okay, I can show up to this Battleground and maybe get a PTI to play in the tournament that I wanted to.
Yeah, it's also just more local tournaments with good pricing.
And they're giving PTIs, right? I'm not wrong. Like it's a forever redeemable PTI.
I believe so.
Because that's pretty crazy pricing for like a local tournament.
I can go Shadow Ninja mode and discover.
Yeah, do that. Nice. Yeah, if you're playing in like a 20-30 person event that gets you an actual just like PTI for forever, that's like pretty insane pricing.
Our friends at Green Tree,
I don't believe
PTI. Yes,
that they are going to be that small. Maybe like the first one or so. This does not seem to be like everyone's local is just going to get one. It seems to be like the bigger stores who have already tried to do things with FAB in an area are going to get one of them.
Yeah. I think what this actually replaces is just standalone battle hardens, right? Like that's what this is for, right? Sunday battle hardens are showdowns, standalone battle hardens are battlegrounds now.
That does seem to be the case.
I know nothing about this, but maybe I can put this out in the ether. It'd be cool if like the AGE tournaments, like the AGE series, became like battlegrounds, or like you could they could add like a PTI as the prizing additionally, and like the gold foil and stuff.
My guess is this has already been attempted, but if not,
who knows, man? It'd be cool.
But yeah, I mean it's more cash. It's got tournament packs. Six tournament packs for first place at a battleground is actually, I think, kind of lit.
Yeah, the tournament packs have some great hits. I pulled Red Emeritus and Blue Spears from my two. I saw people with wild rides though. That you got to make me steer clear of those. I don't need to be spending money on no wild rides when Cam is about to allow.
There's also two promos. There's cold foil promos and rainbow foil promos for top 8. I don't know if this is just Green Tree, but I'm reading Green Tree's Battleground pricing. I assume it is the same for most of these.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked like 72 player ish cap. It probably depends on the area.
Yeah, $40 entry for this one in particular as well. I don't know what these will all look like, but that's actually quite good. I'd be very happy with that.
I'm excited to see who ends up getting them and how often they're happening. Green Tree is a little bit. It's probably, I don't know. It's like 7 hours for me. So it's
not nearly as far as it is from Japan, which is where you will be when
that is where I will be when the tournament is happening. I'm more referring to if I wasn't on a plane to Japan.
Of course.
Yeah, it'd be a little close. It's like I'd probably go for it being the first one, but I don't know if that's something that would always draw me 7 hours away.
Yeah, I think this is like pretty cleanly unless you're going for world tour points, this is like a day trip kind of thing. Like if you got to book a hotel room, maybe this ain't the Tornamiento for you.
Yep. Yeah, that's why I'm curious to see what other stores get these events, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like surely some store in the Philly area gets one of these, but maybe not because not all the stores host big events here. So
surely many stores in the St. Louis area.
But the only ones I've seen are like Green Tree and Min-Max Games, so maybe it ends up being a different caliber of
like a regional thing.
Yeah,
it wouldn't surprise me if they're going to be the same or pretty close. Like probably maybe hopefully a little bit more than, but I would expect standalone Battle Hardens to be kind of the metric for how often these are going to be held.
Yeah, we used to have a standalone Battle Harden in the Philly area, but SCG doesn't do them here anymore in Valley Forge. So
we used to have a standalone Battle Harden in the St. Louis area, and then I won it. Nobody else will ever do that again.
Okay. Anything else to talk about for Silverage or before we move on to some podcast questions?
Nothing for me.
No. They killed it. They've done a good job. Props to LSS. Hopefully the games continue to be interesting or more interesting.
Continue.
Some of the games are fun
to watch. Yes.
I mean, I have fun when I'm playing Guardian slot. Like I'm playing my best life.
I just played too much KO in this format. That's why I don't enjoy it as much. Maybe we should just branch out. It's like
I played everything else. KO was like the last resort after playing everything else and feeling like it was the deck that had the best chance into the both Guardian and aggro. Yeah, I'll play other stuff. We got some Silverage brewing to do because we have all the deck lists now. So surely some of them have taken angles that I didn't consider before.
Yeah, and we have another calling this weekend as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, Shane will be there. Everyone go talk to Shane. Cheer on Shane. Shane will win first place. He's the best.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's gonna kill you.
If Pierre could top 8, surely Shane could top 8.
That's disrespectful. I was so happy for Pierre when I saw that he was.
No, that was hype, man.
I was so hyped.
Yeah,
he was incredibly locked in. I was watching him play. He was playing really well.
I wasn't like watching the stream, and then I like logged in. I like saw the top 8 because obviously I woke up mid top 8, and I was ecstatic to see Pierre. So congrats, Pierre. Nice job. Oh, also we did not mention this real quick for the viewing experience. Getting to watch all of the games in top 8 or at least multiple features, even just in Swiss, also excellent. Makes for a much better viewing experience.
Also, the downtime between games not being like 40 minutes sometimes, also fantastic.
Yep. Phenomenal. Yeah, 10 out of 10. Yeah, I'm super stoked for these actually watching these matches.
Okay, let's go through some podcast questions. These are asked by premium members of our Metafy. If you'd like to be able to ask questions on the podcast, find people to practice with, just support us. It is $5 a month. Wardo77 asks, first impressions of tournament packs and the Battlegrounds format. Seems like a massive improvement to tier 2 plus organized play. Any drawbacks?
Tournament packs seem awesome.
The
Turnabout's
only
are tricky.
drawbacks are to people's wallets. If they want to make their deck fancy, now they got a lot more expensive. Um, but yeah, I think this is a huge improvement. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think also just giving people stuff that's not like ridiculously expensive, like gold foils, where it's like a very niche market. Like this is people of uh, all sorts of varieties of players will want these cards from these tournament packs. I'm sure. So presumably these markets will be more consistent than something like gold foils, which I think is super good
You still
for
get a gold
these
foil for
packs.
winning the Battleground.
Agree. No, I know, but like it gives more of a stable feeling, I think, to doing all of these events.
Sure. I'm just the only drawback will be where they get placed, because I still don't see these type of events as super travel events, which we don't need. This is not a complaint. We're getting a calling or two almost every month now, if you look at the schedule. So that is not a complaint. I'm just curious I would like to play at local events, so I'd like to see where they're going to be.
Yeah.
Bryn asks, what makes people enjoy a specific style of deck? FAB is my first card game, and I'm still figuring out what I want in a deck, but I've learned that I can't stand Rude Blade hands and try to play decks that always convert the hand. Do you think those preferences are created by the game itself, or do they carry over from game to game and more about a person's brain? Actually, a very good question.
This is an excellent question. I would love to spend 40 minutes on this, but
well, we absolutely can. We are adults that are for the most part, and if we choose to spend 40 minutes on this question, we absolutely could do that.
It's true.
There's an option in the world.
I think honestly, people have a much worse idea of what kind of decks they actually enjoy than they think they do, for the most part. I think a lot of people think that they like certain kinds of decks because they've had certain experiences in the past, whether they're like isolated incidents. Like I think the example you used is great, where some people don't like playing decks that they feel like they perceive as having higher variance or higher brick potential. But I think a lot of the time that just comes from having a particularly negative experience or multiple particularly negative experiences. Like if you are on the bubble for a big tournament, or like you're playing in the finals of a big tournament and you lose because you have like a really bad brick, that can sort of like traumatize you into not wanting to play those sorts of decks in the future. Um, I also think most people probably wouldn't have like a super offhand or a super effective offhand articulation of like why they enjoy the game. And I would expect basically everybody likes decks that do what they like about the game more. Um, and so if they're not able to articulate why they like the game, it's probably harder for them to actually pick out the decks that they would enjoy playing.
Yeah, I think my one thing that's a common thread among decks that I enjoy is that they strive to be able to do the same exact thing every single turn. And the only times you're doing something better is when you draw a busted card and then, or, a busted combination of cards that let you go above your normal. But I like playing decks that have a pretty high baseline of what they're trying to do. And then they just have the ability to flex above that. I would say that's pretty consistent across games, where I'm not playing something that's extremely high peaks, low valleys. Um, I'm usually playing something that's like just at a 60% level most of the time with a little bit of peak. Um, the concept of like the Runeblade hand thing, I think Flesh and Blood is a bit different. As you mentioned, you haven't played other games, but in other games, usually there's like cards that are more like actual do nothings in your hand. Like you're not playing Cracked Bauble and Constructed, and even Cracked Bauble can pitch for two. So like you can always do something with every card in Fab. Um, so I think if that's your thing, you should just try to stick towards decks that can meaningfully do something with all their cards. In Flesh and Blood, I'll say one more thing, then you can go, Cody. Is something I really enjoy is having a resource outlet on my equipment. not every class has access to this, but like the KO arms, Grasp of the Arcanite are two of my favorite equipments, and that they just allow you to smooth out your curve. Another one I've played in the past too is like Teklo Foundry Heart as well. Just like
Waning, I would even
Waning Moon, exactly. Yeah, it's a great example where it's something that just can always let you use extra resources and just directly turn resources into damage. Um, yeah, I'm a fan of these types of mechanics in decks, and I think probably a lot of people are too.
I think if I look at every card game I've ever played, I typically play value control is more of what I've always played in every format. I mean, I play Victor in Riftbound for the people who do that, and it's basically a value control deck. I make 1/1s for free, and I remove their opponent with big spells. And that has been like since I was like 10 years old. That's essentially the type of decks I've always played. Flesh and Blood doesn't really have decks like that. Like that just doesn't really exist in this game in the same type of format. But I've still found plenty of decks that I enjoy playing, you know, like obviously Chain and Zen and even Oldhim, Enigma, Old Prism, and all of these are vastly different. I would say I would worry a lot less about what type of decks you enjoy playing, and then just like find decks that you are outside of your comfort zone that you enjoy, because a lot of the decks operate differently. They all have things that are nice about them. It's also in this game easy to tell what kind of type of decks you might not like. Like if you really like blocking, you're probably not going to like decks that have no armor, right? So like you can kind of cut some of those out if you like. Maybe you want to play more of it's more tempo versus non-tempo in this game. Like, do you want to be the person who's asking questions, or do you want to be the person who's like finding spots, or do you want to be the person who's blocking? And you can choose that between a bunch of different decks. Bryn does mention here. Also, I love decks like Enigma and Fatigues, where you're doing a lot in your opponent's turn to defend in interesting ways. Do you think there'll be a deck like this post-Pen meta? Will it be Pleiades? Will Teklo be good? Etc.
Yeah, I do think Pleiades.
How does Pen change the meta at all?
Yeah. So I think Pleiades is good. I think Teklo is not. But I think that makes a lot of sense. I will say the things that I normally like playing in this game, I like two things. I like decks that have a pretty consistent play pattern that is normally advancing towards a general macro strategy that is not clearly obvious to your opponent. So I really liked playing both Waning Moon Wizards, both Icelander and Verdance for this reason, where there are sort of decks that are like poking and prodding and making good value plays throughout the game. But you also have these other things in the back of your mind, like, you know, am I setting up Insidious Chill? Am I trying to set up Frost Hex? Do I need to set up Second Cycle? And Verdance, it's like, you know, am I setting up my Decomposes properly? Do I need to turn my hero ability on? Do I need to, set this power card in this certain case so I don't get fatigued? Or whatever it is. Like, am I trying to set up big rampant growths? And then the other kind of decks that I like playing are decks that not only ask your opponent a lot of questions, but decks that where the important decisions in the game are made in the very micro. I really like decks that are either very macro decision based, like the Elemental Wizards, or I like decks that are very micro decision based. So I really liked Arachne Marionette for this reason, where a lot of the most interesting decisions you make are like whether to, you know, go for one or 2 points here or there, how to resolve your reactions in the right sequence. I've also liked decks like Lexi that ask your opponent these sorts of questions, where like most of my game and my opponent's game is trying to, like, you know, steal a piece of armor there or make my opponent block inefficiently here. And those are kinds of the ways I'm trying to, you know, nickel and dime the value of the game. So I think it's just whatever you like about the game. Like if you enjoy that, you know, you're playing against a person and you're both gaming each other and, you know, you're trying to go level 1, level 2, maybe you'll like, you know, warriors or assassins. If you're, like you mentioned, you like being more defensive and trying to navigate how to block in interesting ways on your opponent's turn, maybe you'll enjoy, you know, illusionists and things like that a bit more.
I will say this: if you're just trying to win tournaments, you should just play whatever the expected best deck is, because the track record of the best deck being the deck that wins the tournament is actually really high.
Yeah.
You could look at Syndra just winning the last Worlds as an example, but it goes all the way down a bunch of events where the best deck typically wins the tournament.
We also see that the best deck in this game basically never goes into a tournament and just like doesn't do well. Like in Magic, we see this sometimes where like the most played deck might get, you know, super targeted and it doesn't convert very well to day 2, and there's like none in the top 8. But in FAB, the best deck, the most represented deck is almost always at least somewhat in the top 8, especially if the metas existed for at least a few weeks. So yeah, I think that's very true. Just play the best deck.
That is advice that we could all learn from as well.
Thanks.
That was not at everyone. That was like us internally. Like we could also just, you know, play the best deck sometimes, because, you know, those typically win the event. The fact that we're never on it and we don't win the event, I wonder.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Yeah, it's just play Mario. I'm telling you. Oh no, Acilio's the best. Oh, we didn't even talk about that stupid new wizard.
We'll get to it.
We'll get to it. There's a reason I didn't bring it up.
Okay.
Foxmane asks, do you have any particular strategy when it comes to rock, paper, scissors? That feels like a very personal question that you're going to store all the details on and then eventually ask us to rock, paper, scissors for something important and have all the details for it.
I feel like Noah's got to have a better answer than us on this one.
Yeah, okay, fine. So keep in mind that my answer, there's always a chance it's just a psyop in case we play in the future, okay? Yeah. But I'll explain my reasoning. So firstly, I think scissors is by far the least picked because it requires the most mental energy to like transform your hand from this into like exactly this, right? Some people even do thumb up, right? Just going from this to either this, so rock and paper for the people listening, I think are the most two played options. Mm-hmm. I would assume that if it's someone that you're not familiar with, you're probably gonna stick towards rock because it's the least awkward. So, you know, like when you count down, you're like, you know, rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Mm-hmm. Or if you live in New Zealand, you do scissors, paper, rock. But you, it's always a bit weird the first time you're doing this with someone, if you've never talked to them before, of the cadence of when you actually like finish. So I think you probably just finish on rock and be like, ah, whatever, screw it. Like I'll stay on rock, you know, I won't change to something else because maybe I messed up the timing. So therefore, I think if it's someone you don't know well, you should go with paper to counter that rock strategy. And then I think if it's someone, go ahead.
No, please continue. Finish.
Okay. And then I think if it's someone who you've seen them throughout the day, they've been asking all their opponents to rock, paper, scissors, they clearly have some kind of strategy. So, but maybe you haven't seen the outcomes, right? You don't want to bias yourself. You've heard tell of this legendary rock, paper, scissor individual. Then I think you can maybe have a scissor mix up, because I think like, yeah, level 0 is rock, 1 is paper, 2 is scissor. And if you go for the scissor, you can really catch them sleeping, especially if you feign ignorance, like you have no idea how to play. That they think that you're probably going to be level 1 or 2 and you can get them with scissor.
I think also
wait, one second. No, also, I think you should always do best 2 out of 3, because you can gain information from round 1 for informing your 2 and 3 on like how their hand moves, their speed, how dexterous are they, that kind of thing.
Well, if you think you're better than your opponent, if you think your opponent's better than you definitely want to go best 1.
Oh, you just go solo? Okay, sure.
Also, I think there's like more psychological like damage inflicted when you lose with scissors. It's like when you lose with rock, it's like whatever. Like my opponent's a lame-o. Like they think paper beats rock in real life. They're stupid. Like they can win the game, but I've won the war. And like when scissors beats paper, it's like, okay, you know, I knew what I was getting into. Like, you know, I put my hand out. If they snip, they snip. It is what it is. When you put scissors out and you get rocked and your opponent does the like smack your hand away with the rock, like, dude, you feel like such a moron. Like, what kind of dummy loses to rock? Like, it's like losing to Tough Nut. Like, would you rather lose to Tough Nut or Marionette? Like, Marionette's the scissors, right?
And
like,
I think the image in your head, too, is like the scissors are all now crushed and unusable, you know? When the paper covers the rock,
you're completely
the rock is still perfectly usable.
Yeah, you're completely demoralized when your scissors gets rocked. But like if your rock gets papered, it's like whatever, man. He's the moron who doesn't know how the world works. Like you can cover me all you want.
I think the rock has inevitability versus paper in the long term. So it's like
Agreed.
whatever. You'll get the next one.
Yeah. I think strategically this all means that you should probably pick paper more often. I think paper is like the safe answer. So if you say you're a viewer of the pod, I'm probably gonna pick scissors.
You should you should roll a die. And just
Oh, come on, man.
No, you get those old magic tokens out with the rock paper scissors, and you play that way. That's actually the best way to play rock paper scissors.
No, I'll take a die, I'll roll it, and then I'll pick what I'm going to be.
Oh, I see. Let fate decide.
Yeah. Then I'm perfectly balanced. You'll never know what I am.
But then why are we playing rock paper scissors, man? Just high roll. Come on now.
If you ask me to play rock paper scissors, I will say no.
Have an edge.
Wait, you would actually say no?
Yeah, I'll decline.
That would be high. Oh, I would definitely accept.
No, I'll decline.
If my opponent said rock paper scissors for a second, it depends on the person.
I'll decline.
If it was like Naib, I'd be like, no, there's something afoot.
But it would just be interesting, man. Let's make it interesting.
I'm here for making things interesting. I'm the guy who always yaps during the games to get my opponent off their game, so I'm definitely with this strategy.
Yeah.
Millet asks, from all underrated and niche cards from Penn, which is your favorite and why? And do you think the new Shadow Chest could be good and be played?
What does the Shadow Chest do?
Exactly.
It
can never be good.
I didn't even know there was a Shadow Chest.
I don't even know there's a Shadow Chest.
Is there?
There's a max spoiler.
Oh, Vestige of Flagellation. Yeah, it's the
one.
first time an opponent would gain life each turn. Instead, you lose that much and create that many Vigor tokens, and has Blade Break too.
No thanks.
Yeah, this card's terrible. Don't play this card. The problem is that it's Vigor tokens. If it was like Mites, I actually think there would be like something with it.
I don't think that's the problem at all.
No, so I think the problem is that the only times this would ever be good is against decks that are just like where your life total doesn't matter, but their life total does. And so it's just like stupid fatigue decks, I think. But into decks that are blocking you out, Vigor tokens are kind of hard to use.
But what deck are you playing this in? If you play this in Levia, there's a chance you just like lose the game because you went below 13.
That's also true. Yeah.
Like this could just never be played. Like
I think there's like some niche. This is the kind of card where it's like you could craft a matchup. Like if it's like super hard life gain Oldhim with like 0 attack actions versus like Levia, like I could see you playing this card, but even then, like I said, I think Vigor tokens are just like low key, kind of hard to get consistent use out of. If it was giving you action points or power, I think it would maybe actually be a pretty good card in those kinds of matchups. But
also, when you play Levia, the Vigor token sometimes screws you because you have like a miss for your Blood Rush.
Yeah, your Blood Rush.
That's like your blue you wanted to pitch.
This doesn't matter anymore because they can't play Blood Rush Bellow anymore. I mean, whenever KOLs in like a month. But.
No, Levia still plays Blood Rush Bellow because she plays multiple attacks. No. Like you play Go again.
You can build versions to play Blood Rush. It's kind of awkward, but
I believe you.
It depends. What was the first part of the question? Right, I feel like we focused on
find some other card that's good.
Yeah,
some niche card.
Find some niche cards. I like the new card, but new doesn't get played. But I like the fact that it can just give itself.
They're all new cards, brother.
The new NUU.
We're really doing this again, man. Come on.
Oh
Serpent's
no, I'm
Kiss.
actually just a moron. I didn't realize the assassin.
To be fair, when we talked about what type of decks I like to play, new is like one of the few decks in FAB that existed that was in that wheelhouse, like value control.
Niche cool cards. I don't know. I feel like all the cards that are like niche are either like terrible or like broken. Oh, here
Yeah.
I'll talk about one. I'll talk about
Oh,
one.
I have one as well. So you go first.
No, you go first because I was just doing that because nobody else had.
Okay, mine is probably. I secretly enjoy Katsu. It's like one of the
Oh,
first decks I played. So I would say probably Tiger and Reflex, the one that you can discard, give +1, and make a Tiger in your hand. I think that's like a niche card in that you basically only play this in Katsu, but when you do, it's extremely impactful. It's like the equivalent of an ancestral empowerment, and in some cases, it's actually better because there's been times I've played Katsu before. It's like if I cast this ancestral and I draw something that's not a 0, I'm actually screwed because I need to discard it. But this giving you the guaranteed 0 in your hand to discard, I think it's going to be niche. Like I said, it's only playable in Katsu, but it's definitely super impactful in that deck. Is that long enough talking or no?
no, you killed it.
You go now. Like
yeah.
you were supposed to talk after me, no?
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna talk about Doomsday. It's a Runeblade action aura. It blocks 3.
I thought we were talking about good cards.
It costs 0. It has go again. It says at the beginning of your end phase, put a Doom counter on this. Then each hero destroys X auras they control, where X is the number of Doom counters on this. So this is obviously just a Runeblade card that's anti-illusionist, but it has a lot of, I think, interesting play patterns that people haven't pointed out. So obviously, both players have to sacrifice things, and so you can sacrifice itself to get rid of it whenever you want. I think the first thing that we think of is like this is for like stack Runeblades against like Ward. So think like stack Viscerai or stack Florian versus Enigma, for example. You can basically sacrifice some of your rune chants to get rid of some of their guys. But also I think it's just like a spot removal piece for auras. This gives some Runeblades something that they didn't have access to. Particularly Runeblades that might play cards like Runeblood Incantation or Arcane Cussing, or just like Runeblades that have more auras in general. Playing this into basically anything that has some number of auras, I think even outside of stack plan, just playing this is like, I'm going to play this turn, sacrifice one of my auras for basically free, get rid of one of your guys, and then next turn, if you still have dudes in play, I can sacrifice maybe one more of my things, and then itself to remove 3 auras across 2 turns is actually pretty powerful. I think obviously right now, like we haven't been in an aura meta for a little bit, but we definitely have had some in the past where I think this would have been actually a pretty unique tool for some decks.
Yeah, I got another one. It's this Balance of Justice art. If you play this card, your opponent has to look at this god awful art, and it's going to tilt them off the face of the planet. Mm-hmm. It's a niche use for a new card.
Okay.
I think this is one of the ugliest arts I've ever seen in my life. It actively makes me angry.
Wow. Fair enough.
Yeah, I will say I feel like they started off with like some bangers. Like I feel like the Quick Dodge Flexors looks awesome and like the Tunic looks awesome, but I don't know. Some of the other legendaries are kind of some of the other new
the Flexors got some chicken legs going on. Let's be honest. Those are some skinny ass legs. But the Crown of Providence is like gorgeous.
What it blocks like 73 times a combat chain. Do you think it's going to be like bulky? Come on now. Like he's zip zapping around blocking 2s and 1s all over the place.
I like a lot of the new art. I just think that Balance of Justice is hideous. Mm-hmm. If you play that version against me, you will definitely be winning in the mental department.
Oh yeah, this Crown of Providence also just like looks like Crown of Dominion. Like I wonder if you like put that down and then put a gold token in play for like the first couple weeks after Compendium came out, like if anybody would actually notice.
Wait 1 second. I'm learning about a new card live in real time. Have you guys seen this Helm of Safe Haven?
Yeah. It was they didn't, it wasn't in spoiler season, but somebody opened it in a pack, I think. This card's very interesting.
I see
it's bad, but it's really good.
Wait, why is it bad?
It's lit for like some specific situations.
Dude, Tough Nut? Come on. Block 5.
Let's read the card for the people.
It's a 2-block Blade Break hat. When it defends, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's an attack action, add it to the chain link as a defending card and discard a card. So if you have no cards in hand, it's just a potentially block 5 hat.
Well, it's also like helps you get around Dominate, and then also some heroes such as Mr. Gravy Bones, can both look at the top card of their deck to see if it's an attack action and also discard cards for value. I actually think
Yeah.
this could be best in slot for Gravy in some matchups.
Yeah, this is a huge sleeper card. I didn't even know it existed until I'm scrolling through right now. Surely this will see play at some point.
Yeah, probably, man.
It might.
So will the other the gold hat. That one's good.
Yeah, agree. Okay, we got sleeper hats, and then we got a hat that
The whole set is just
apparently, according to
asleep.
Cody, you shouldn't look at ever.
The whole set is just asleep.
Just
That's
avert
actually
your eyes from the.
Yeah.
I'm excited to open some of this set this weekend when I go buy my cases.
Yeah, I feel like some of these cards are gonna look a lot better when they're like in my hand. Like I'm gonna
Except
like
for
I
that
read
Balance
them
of
and I'm
Justice.
like this card's terrible, and then it's like in my hand and I'm like maybe I could put this in the deck.
Now the Crowd of
It
Providence
is a bit-
though is gorgeous.
It's a bit weird opening the packs, by the way, because it's like I kept getting debated by the cards at the end, since a lot of them are like majestic looking or like majestic power
Yeah.
level, but then they're just rares. Like there's no majestic. I don't know. It was a bit
Yeah.
weird.
I want the new Floozy tunic, and I want the Crown of Providence, and I need a Riches, so I'm glad they reprinted it for me.
Yeah, me personally, I would just like all the marbles and all the antiquity pack cards, so I can sell them for dollars.
Okay. James Silver asks, do you think a Decimator Great Axe will get emergency banned like Chain so they open up Guardian to see more play?
I think it would be good if Great Axe got banned, because like you said, it kind of just delete like the whole dynamic of Decimator Great Axe versus these Guardian decks is extremely lopsided. So I think it'd be cool if it was banned. And also, we had this dynamic before with Dash, IE, and CC, where it was like you don't know what they're playing, and that was a little bit interesting. But now, because the Great Axe is just like so much better than the other ways you could play Warrior, you don't really have that dynamic. So, I think the only card you can really hit to mitigate the effectiveness of that play style would be the Great Axe, because there's basically zero other cards in the actual deck. Like Felling Swing is the only other card in the deck. So
I was gonna say I think Felling Swing would be the only other card to potentially hit, but like that.
yeah, those
feels
are like the only real cards
I mean-
in the deck. So
Great Axe is just like way too strong for this format.
it is, yeah.
Like it is.
It's that simple. Yeah,
Yeah,
you could just delete Great Axe.
that was a card that we were like a little bit worried about for CC when Dusk Till Dawn came out. So like, if that gives
Yeah.
you any indication.
Yep. Raz asks, thoughts on Temporal Wobble as a card. Do you think these hand trap time walk type cards should exist?
No, of course not. What the hell is this card? Somebody, Noah, read it for the people. Come on.
Oh, okay. Your designated reader approaches.
Well,
He's failing to find the card. Where is it? You just assume I have it pulled up like a good player.
You
What is it,
gotta
wobble?
you gotta wobble a little bit, bro.
Yeah, just search for
Okay,
the wobble.
Temporal Wobble. First off, the artwork on this card is very interesting to look at. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
There's many creatures and old men in hats. 0 cost, wizard instant, red. Negate target non-act. Let's try again. Negate target non-attack action card with cost less than the number of aura permanents you control with sigil in their name. Its controller gains 1 action point. I like that this one they specify aura permanents with sigil, so you can't do like boom sigil of solace and then respond. So this thing negating does not return it to the hand, similar to Rewind, where Rewind gives them the card back and costs 1 resource to do the same effect. So this is basically actually card neutral. However, if you're negating a card from your opponent, like say you're playing Acilio and you have 2 sigils on the board, you can negate a card that costs 1. That can potentially be worth 2 to 3 cards from the opponent, depending on the rest of their hand. And in addition, just trading this card 1 for 1 with 0 cost non-attack actions is extremely difficult to play around, given that this is a card that's an instant, so it can actually sit in your arsenal. A lot of the other hand traps we've seen so far in FAB are things you have to discard, so you can't chill on them and wait for an effective time to use it. And the fact that Acilio can cycle instants means if he ever sees this card and wants it to be something else because he has tempo, he can just make it a new card. So I think, yeah, it's a perfect storm of a million reasons why this is extremely strong for Acilio in this current metagame.
Yeah. So you guys remember how last week Cody came on here and he was like, Acilio's the best deck. It got this like new card that's slightly better than this other card that it plays, and it's like pretty good. Then they also just got like the best card in the set. This card is ridiculous. If you don't like playing against Acilio, get ready, because he doesn't have any natural predators anymore that are very good. Because I think this card just flips the Mario matchup. Full stop.
Yep. There's a lot of things that he can counter now against Mario that just like completely wrecks the entire turn.
So I'll name. I mean, like the easiest ones, the biggest ones are Orb Weaver Spinneret, Savor Bloodshed, and Codex Frailty.
Yep. The
Like,
Codex and Saber Bloodshed are typically just worth like 7 value in one card, and
and the Orb Weaver is often actually more. Like that's I think that's like the most overlooked thing. But like, if Mario goes into his turn and he's like, okay, I have Orb Weaver, pump, and I'm I have my Tunic, and then you're like, okay, negate it. It's like, okay, I'll pass. It doesn't matter how many cards I have. I'll pass. Maybe I'll like pitch a red to like clave you. I already played the Orb Weaver, which doesn't pump the clave, so it's for one. But yeah, is it basically also the fact that this card trades 1-for-1 with all these cards means that like it's getting the value compared to like a 3-block, just like 3 value random card. It's essentially getting the value of the card that I play. So like negating a Codex of Frailty is worth a Codex of Frailty's worth of value. So he just has like 3 more cards in his deck in the matchup that are like Codex or Savor or Orb Weaver like level of power. And he can also just cycle away. And he can set them. And also like it doesn't really require any setup. Like you have to have a sigil. It's worth noting also it is less than, it's not equal to or less than. So you have to have at least 1 sigil for this to do the thing.
But they always have at least 1 sigil.
They always have at least 1 sigil because they have conductivity.
Yep.
And you could just arsenal it and wait to draw a sigil, and you could just play the sigil on the same turn. Yeah, I hate this card. I hate its design. I think these are stupid. What are we doing? I don't know.
Acilio best deck, hands down, does it?
Yeah. Acilio is just the best deck.
Well,
play
there is a counter, which I think we'll get to in the next question.
But to answer this question, I hate this card as well. I saw this card and I said, oh, it's even better. Actually, I got several messages saying, I think you have to be an Acilio player now. And I said, I might have to be an Acilio player now. Might have to just play the best deck.
You have to be an Acilio
player. Insane in the mirror match too, right? Like they try to end the chain with a mind warp for like 10 and you're like, how about it's 0?
Yeah. Yes. It's absurd. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And these are like just the first 2 matchups we think of. This also negates allies.
It's pretty hard to negate an ally, but yeah.
You have 2 sigils.
You have like 3 sigils.
You negate Rigor Mortis. You have 1 sigil in play. You negate Scuba.
Well, they already negate Rigor Mortis. They just shock. They just shock it when he swings in. So
agree. But like, you can negate all sorts of stuff if you have enough sigils.
Echoes.
I would say one of the stronger ones in Gravy would be like negating port side, right? Now they just like have an ally they can't do anything with.
Yeah. What Cody just said as well.
Echoes. They can literally, you can counter echoes when they.
Oh, they can negate spell. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're like echoes. They're like counter spell. Oh,
counter spell. You counter spell. Plays this new Chains of Eminence card. You say no, thank you.
No, thank you.
I'm not hungry right now.
How about no? And the more of these type of effects that you run, I think it actually makes people play the deck better because too many Acilios do not use their hero ability enough, I think. And so now if you put instances that aren't immediately useful, it's like very easy to be like, I should hero ability here.
Yeah, it's true.
Raz Bryn asks, sorry, one more. I'm sure you already answered this in the regular discussion, but in case you didn't, but is Art of Phoenix War busted? And if so, do you think this will just LL-fi?
So why I said we would answer in the next question is that I think Phi should be naturally good into Acilio, right?
Can you read that card? For the listeners?
Why not, man? Let's do this. Art. Surely it comes up when I type in art.
I think everyone would really like to listen to you read Art of Phoenix Ward.
Oh, of the Phoenix form. Thank you.
Yeah, of the Phoenix Ward.
War. Yeah.
Art of the Phoenix War. Okay. Draconic Instant. And these are holy instants, right? The last one and this one, they do not have a block value. They're normal instants. They're not cheating the game instants. 1 cost red. As an additional cost to play this, discard a Phoenix Flame. Draconic attack action cards you control get +1 this turn. Draw 2 cards. Had to wait for the best part. Save the best for last.
Mhm.
So the fact that this costs 1 and draws 2 basically means that you're getting like Blood Rush Bellow value. It's a similar concept to Blood Rush. But if you ever have a way of getting a Phoenix Flame for free, it's like Blood Rush discarding Beast Within. It does not buff your weapon when you're. I mean, I assume you don't play this in Fang, but theoretically you could play it in Fang if you wanted to. But yeah, in Fi, you're typically going to be getting, I would say, like +5, maybe 6 value, depending on your hit.
So the thing about this card is it's a very specific Art of War, right? Like that's what it is, right? It's resolving an Art of War, but it's in a very specific way where you have to add the flame back to your hand. Presumably, the way that you're expecting to do this is with Fi's hero ability. Obviously, sometimes you will just have a Rise Up, or you'll just have, maybe you're playing a version with Inflame, or some other ways to get Phoenix Flames.
By Rise Up, you mean Rise from the Ashes, not Rise Up.
Rise from the Ashes, yeah, sorry, not Rise Up. But most of the time, you'll probably be playing this on Chainlink 3. You'll go like starter, swing weapon, play your third Chainlink, reacts, activate Fi, add Phoenix Flame back, play this. Which means that you have to have 2 Draconic cards that cost 0 and have Go Again, and a blue, and this card in your hand to be able to resolve this on like the average turn. And in that case, you are resolving it on the third Chainlink, and then you're getting 2 random cards off the top, plus potentially a 5th card. And so you're probably getting somewhere from 2 to 4 value out of the buff in the average context. Obviously, there are turns where you'll go Rise from the Ashes, play this card, play 7 or 8 Chainlinks, and it will be very powerful. I actually don't think this card is that good. Especially with where other people are at. I think this card is good, and this card is incredibly powerful, and it's not something that we really see in the game anymore. But it is a lot to ask for to be able to make it go completely stupid. I will say, I think this card is still very clearly one of the best cards in the set, and I do think Fies will play it and be very happy to play it probably in every matchup. But it is more restrictive than I think people might initially realize. Like the kinds of hands that can cast this card are very specific. It's, I want a blue, I need a starter, and I probably need another 0 cost starter or extender at the very least to be able to make this work. But I could also, at the same time, it seems very probable to me that people are just going to be perfectly willing to do that and just play more Lava Vein loyalties and stuff like that.
If we lived in a world where you could arsenal cards, this card would be really, really good.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we don't live in a world where you're allowed to actually arsenal a card. And because of that, you never open the turn with your flame in your hand already. Because realistically, you want to cast this at the beginning of your turn, like you would in Art of War, and then see what you're doing with all these new cards, and then map out your turn, and then pick up a flame. So you want to play something that automatically puts a flame in your hand at the beginning of the turn, or just have a flame in your hand when you do this. And usually that requires some level of setup, and you can't really do that in the current format. And playing this in the middle of your turn, I think too often it's going to result in it being like a meh in the middle of your turn.
I will say, to be fair, although it is very hard to resolve in terms of like you need specific sequence, one thing that is really nice about this card is that because its condition is just discard a Phoenix Flame, draw 2, like the floor on resolving it is still pretty high. It's just turning a resource. It's like Fire That Burns Within, right? Where it's one resource, you discard a flame, you draw a card, and then instead of getting forego again, you get a card off the top, and your draconic attacks get +1 this turn, which is probably going to equate to forego again anyway.
Probably.
So I do think this card is good, and even though I agree we are not really in a world where you can Arsenal consistently, I think this card is gonna make Fi better. But I'm not convinced that this card is like broken badonkers. But I will say I think this combined with some of the other cards that Fi got, to answer the last part of the question, I do expect Fi to LL in the next couple of seasons. I think he is a really good deck. And also, especially if we move into a meta that's more Acilio heavy, like Noah was starting to say earlier, I do think Fi is a deck that naturally is very good to Acilio.
Yep.
So
it's always interesting when cards like this exist in tandem with Spreading Flames as well, where you just like have the potential to completely one-shot your opponent if you are able to Arsenal. Like Cody was saying, it's not often that you can, but if you ever can, and you have Mask of the Pouncing Lynx, you have like, I don't know, Best of the First Fist, like some way of getting resources, or some sort of like
Tunic.
or Tunic, whatever. Yeah, just like any way of getting money. Maybe you have an Inflame as well to make this card cost 0. Or is that the card? No, Ignite. Sorry. You have like an Ignite to make this card cost 0. Or that instant speed card that's a 2 cost, gets discounted by 1. You draw a card. You could use that to generate a resource for this. I think there is like potential for this just to be played in like a one-shot shell if you do find space to Arsenal card. But yeah, I think it's not like Fi will immediately win every single tournament now. It just, he's now a real player in the game. I was thinking the whole time when we were doing this too, if there's some weird like retrieve Fi where you play like a Kadachi and a Kunai, and then you play the Blood Splattered Vest as like you flick knives, you get a resource off the chest, use that to cast this.
If you're watching this, don't do this, by the way.
It's just what I was thinking about in real time. All right, I share with people the thoughts. It's probably bad.
You should listen to what Noah's saying. You should, absorb the information, and then you should let him do his thing.
Yeah.
I do think it's funny that you're like earlier in this, you're like, I like having an onboard way to like convert my.
Oh, this is stuff I would never do.
And then let me just like throw all that out the window. It's like the reason.
Let me literally throw it away. Yeah, I would never do this. It's just an interesting thought experiment,
Yeah. Nope. Card's good. Card is, I don't think, immediately as broken as it looks like. Obviously, they're allowed to print this because the handle to tighten this is that Fi will just literally rotate out in 2 weeks if it ever becomes good. So makes sense. I think it'll have some games this card's going to be nuts. I think other games this card is going to be kind of awkward in your hand. That's about it. It's still worth playing.
Yeah, I think it is.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it is slightly less powerful and slightly more consistent than most people think it is.
King of Mice says, do you think Syndra will start running Art of the Phoenix War? And do you think she will quickly LL with the Pen Draconic support?
No,
she's not going to play this.
Actual 0% chance.
Yeah, unplayable.
I mean, that's not 0%. Some people at your armory will definitely play this. Will it be good? No. Phoenix Flame is a terrible card. You don't want to put that card in your deck unless the payoff is you win the game immediately. And this card is not you win the game immediately.
Yeah.
Correct. I think Syndra will continue to gather her LL points, and then eventually she will go away.
Yeah, adjacent to all of the new cards.
Yeah. True. Cool. Anything else? No? Okay.
No, actually, I guess we didn't mention that Art of the Dragon Blood discounts this card, by the way, given that it's a Draconic card. That's pretty interesting.
It is true. We did not mention this.
No, I'm just saying that there's actually a surprising amount of ways to make this card cost 0. And
it's true.
0 is a lot.
You can submit Art of the Dragon Blood in your Fi deck now that you have 0 copies of Brand with Cinderclaw, and your hero ability does not make fealty tokens when you hit a marked hero. But
all right.
It's true. No, it's a synergy. Right?
Okay. Well, let's get out of here.
Oh, real quick. Was I right? I feel I want to call this out. In retrospect, we were
We
right
spent
to
40
copium.
minutes.
We were right to copium.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to talk about how we spent 40 minutes on questions.
No, we're still hopium, but it's definitely dopium, right? Like I feel like I was definitely the winner there. Like the set's dope. We even agreed. We admitted that it's dope.
Yeah, it's a good set.
Yep.
Excellent.
Maybe. I don't know. There's a lot of cards in this set I want to own. There's not a lot of cards in this set I immediately want to play though. But there are a lot of cards in this set I really need to make sure that I own over in this area that I keep all my cards in. I want them to also be stacked over there. So then maybe I can start playing some Vinset locally.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what I'm excited about. Well, with that said, goodbye. Have fun. Good luck in your openings this weekend.